going on, guys? Snake Eyes here, playing some more Dark Souls 2, and in this video we're going to be doing a weapon showcase, and the weapon we're going to be showcasing today is the Mirrah Greatsword. Now if you don't know how to get the Mirrah Greatsword, there's actually two ways you can get this weapon. One of them is by completing Lucatiel's side quest, and the other is if you've talked to her all the times that you need to have talked to her, then she appears on the first bonfire right before Aldia's Keep. You can kill her and she drops her mask, but then you can go right back to Melentia back in Majula, and she will sell the rest of her clothing as well as the Mirrah Greatsword, and that's how you get the Mirrah Greatsword. Now this has the same standard Greatsword moveset, so I'm not really going to talk too much into it. One-handed horizontals with two-handed verticals. The strong attack is a thrusting attack followed by a horizontal, and the one-handed is a faster version of the same thing, thrusting followed by a horizontal. The rolling attack for this weapon is a thrusting attack, while the two-handed rolling attack is a downward attack. And the running attack, I believe, is the same horizontal attack for the both of them. Yeah, that's the same thing. So like I said, pretty standard. If you're used to the Greatsword moveset, then this is definitely not something foreign, and we're going to go ahead and get into the details of this weapon. The base attack for this weapon is at 125, and since then I've actually upgraded mine to plus 10, so my base attack is at 250. The counter strength is at 120, and the poise damage is 35 per hit. It weighs 7 pounds and it has 60 durability. The requirements for this weapon is that you need 16 strength and 20 dexterity, and it has a C scaling in strength and an A scaling in dexterity. The only con to this weapon is the same one that I had for the ruler sword, and that's the simple fact that I don't like the two-handed moveset. I'm not a big fan of the horizontal or the vertical attacks, and the two-handed R2s are just a slower version, in my opinion, of the one-handed R2s. Like I said, not a big fan, but as far as using the one-handed moveset, it's good enough for me to use it in PvP and still have some pretty good results. The pros to this weapon is that it is a dex build weapon. Now if you're a strength build, that's obviously a con, but if you are a dex build, then this is a great sword that you can actually use that does a decent amount of poise damage. I used this sword pretty much for the better part of my New Game Plus playthrough, and in all honesty, making a switch from a katana to this was a pretty good change. The katana does not do a lot of poise damage to these enemies, so when I was finally using this weapon in my New Game Plus and actually being able to stun lock these enemies was actually a pretty good and refreshing thing, especially since I just wanted to get through the areas as much as possible. When I use a katana, I tend to have to dodge a lot, and with this weapon I pretty much only really need to do is just spam the attacks, and like I said, that's a pretty huge plus for me. And in PvP it does a decent amount of poise damage as well, so you can kind of take that into PvP and do a decent amount. As far as tactics go, I really don't have any, since this weapon standalone is pretty good. I guess if you are a faith build, you can infuse it with lightning or something like that, maybe even fire, and obviously if you're a hex build, you can infuse it with a different type of, maybe dark or something like that. But for me, I just use it standard as it is. I don't really feel the need to infuse it because there's really not anything that would benefit me a whole lot, so I kind of keep it how it is. Like I said, there's really not much tactics. It's just a standard greatsword, but it is a greatsword for a dex build, so keep that in mind. My overall final thoughts is, like I said, I really enjoy this weapon. I had a really good time taking it out on PvP. It did just as well as it did in PvE, and in all honesty, this is a good all-around weapon. If you don't want to use it for PvP, then it's definitely good for playing through the story with it. You really won't find any problems with it, especially since, like I said, if you are a dex build weapon, you don't really have many options as far as weapons that do a good amount of poise damage that can stun lock some of these enemies. This is one that can stun lock some of the smaller enemies. It stun locks the Alone Knights in Iron Keep, and it kind of made it a lot more easier to just fly through the area, do what I need to do. Also keep in mind that as it is, the plus 10 Mirrah Greatsword only does a little bit more in the attack rating than a plus 10 Black Steel Katana, so kind of keep that in mind. The Mirrah Greatsword for me with the Ring of Blades plus 2 does a 413 in the attack rating, and I think the Black Steel Katana does something like 403. I'm not too sure, but like I said, keep that in mind. It's not that much higher, even though it is a Greatsword. that's pretty much going to wrap up this weapon showcase. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if you pick up this weapon and how it goes, because I really want to know. And if you have tried this weapon and if you don't like it, let me know why, because it might be something that I probably haven't thought about. All in all, I really do like it, and just like the ruler sword, this is definitely a weapon that I am going to use whenever I feel like I need something new. But like I said, other than that, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.